future. If you with me, let me hear you say.
Welcome everyone to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dub. What's up, family?
What's up? What's up? We are so excited to have you here today, episode 3.
Oh, man. Whew. Episode 3. We're
Can you
already
believe
3
that?
in. I know, we're 3 in. It's like time has just been like passing along so quickly. But it's been a heck of a ride. The first 2 episodes have been absolutely amazing. I feel like there's been so much that we've learned. I know for myself, I've learned a lot in the first 2 episodes, just gems that I've taken back for myself. So I can't wait to hear what episode is going to be about.
Yeah,
for
I'm big on
3.
numbers. So like I was thinking about it earlier. I'm like, wow, episode 3, Jesus died when he was 33 years old. So like the number 3 is like one of my numbers that I feel connected to. It's a lot of numbers I'm connected to. And you'll get to know me as we go on these episodes. So like number 3 is one of mine. So I was thinking about episode 3. I was like, wow, it kind of touched me. And like, so it's one of the numbers that I'm connected with. And, what we're going to be talking about today is awesome and is heartful. And I'm just excited to do this, 3rd episode. Like, we're getting there. We're getting the hang of this. And, the more that we do it, the more excited I get, the more clearer the vision becomes of, why God put us together to do this.
Yeah.
And things have just been flowing. And I'm so grateful and forever indebted, to that energy that God brings to the table when you're aligned with him.
So,
Yeah.
Ariana.
Yep.
Things. What's going on?
Here we are.
This week been for you? Last week you were dropping gems about changing how you approached your day, and you talked about things blessed versus busy.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I spoke about how I'm no longer using the words I'm busy and I'm using the word I'm blessed. Right. So this last week I've been extremely blessed and things going on. I'm traveling to New York tomorrow. It's my birthday tomorrow, December 15th. Yes, turned 37. And it's actually my mother's 60th birthday, December 16th. So her birthday is the day after mine. So I've been preparing, shopping, gotta get the outfits right, gotta look cute. We got plans. I'm taking my mom to see the Rockettes on Saturday. So we got dinner plans and I'm excited to spend the time with her. Like I really didn't have intentions on going to New York because I have been working on a lot of things here and I just wanted to stay focused and on top of things. So I didn't want to kind of break away. But I asked my mom, like, Mom, what is it that you want for your birthday? And my mom just said, I desire to have you here. I want to see you. And as soon as she said that, I'm like, say less, I got you. She was like, she doesn't want a big party. Like she just wants to spend time with me. So I make sure to cultivate my game plan around just spending time with her and whatever she wants for, her big day, turning 60. I'm so grateful, Mom. I love you. So, so as things are going on and I'm, working on different things throughout my week, today, actually, I'm feeling wiped, right? I'm like, I don't really have the energy, I want to get this podcast out, but I'm like, I don't even know how. I don't know if I have more to give. So like when I was kind of preparing for the podcast, what I did was I just said, God, if this podcast is on your schedule for us to do today, then you are going to give me the energy that I need to get this done and to get this done in the best way possible, because I like to prepare and I like to know what I'm doing before I do it. I don't like just, throwing myself without having a game plan of some sort that I more or less going to follow. So I closed my eyes and immediately when I said that, like, God, if this is in your plan for today, your schedule for today, you're going to give me the energy. I just felt like this breeze, like if somebody was blowing in my face, like this breeze just hit me and it felt good. And then I felt like this good warm feeling in my heart. And I started to feel like the tension in my head that I was feeling kind of ease.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, this is a beautiful feeling. And so I was like, God, the human energy that I run on is gone. I don't have the more human energy. I need that supernatural energy and I need you to provide it for me because I don't have it, and just like that, like I told God, please give me this supernatural energy that you have because you don't sleep. You don't rest. You're always awake, aware, and alert. And right now I need that. And guess what? He provided that for me.
Look at that.
So that has been my week, and today, right now, I just feel super blessed and grateful to know that God, in every moment, he is listening and he can give us immediate communication back once we ask.
Wow.
How about you, Antoine? How's your week been going?
Wow. Well, I mean, it's been a week too. I mean, I've had a lot that I've been working on as I'm prepping, getting ready for this business that I'm purchasing at the end of the month. There's a few things that I've been working on wrapping up financially for that business. One of the things that was really interesting about that business, and this was a turn that I wasn't expecting, but I'm really excited about this turn, is as I was thinking about the business and the purpose, God was placing on my heart that this business would be a great opportunity for me to go into with my mom. And so one of the big highlights from this week was so my mom, she's always had a 9 to 5. She's really worked herself, even the job she's in now. She came in at kind of one of the lower rungs and she worked her way up to supervisor. And now my mom is reaching retirement age. And so she's at the place where she's going to be retiring from her job. And for some reason, for those that don't know, businesses and creating businesses provide a lot of value in different ways. And one of the things that it can provide is a great way for you to get, tax deductions and other things to help you as you are leveraging that asset to do, God's work, do your purpose. And so what God was showing me was that this business could also be a great way for my mom as she's going into retirement age to leverage the business. She'll be working in the business with me to get tax deductions and take advantage of the tax code as it is available to us to use. And so I had never thought about that. I was going into the business thinking that it was solely just me. And I actually presented it to my mom and she was so excited. I had never seen her that excited in a long. Yeah, she was so excited because she's just she'd never imagined even being a business owner and to have this opportunity where she's a business owner. And then I told her about my vision with the business long term of I'm leveraging it to help younger people, young boys and young women learn about entrepreneurship and starting their own business and leverage that business for that purpose. She loved the vision. She was really excited about it. And so I have definitely to say that was one of my highlights from this week among many. But yeah, it's holiday season. Things are getting underway. I'm about to go pick up my daughter next week and spend some time with her. So it's great. I am in a beautiful place right now. I couldn't be more excited.
Are you going to New York too tomorrow though?
Yeah, I am. I'm leaving tomorrow. Yeah, I'll leave tomorrow. And then my daughter and I will be coming back to hang out in North Carolina. So,
look at the coincidences in that we both found out we were going to we were traveling on the 15th and, he's also going to be spending time in New York. And we were like, what, should we shoot something in New York together? I don't know. Yeah.
We're going to have to one day.
Yeah. So
I'm going to see the Rockettes too, by the way.
When? When?
I think we're going on, I want to say Saturday. I think we're going on Saturday too. I think it's there's 3 different show times. I want to say it's the 4:30 showtime.
Yeah, so we were going to go to the 4 o'clock. I think it was 4:30.
Yes, 4 o'clock, yeah.
4 o'clock, and just the seating wasn't what we really wanted, so we found better seating for the 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we ended up changing it, but wouldn't that have been funny? That's what I first had originally. And then I was like, Mom, these are the seats. And she was like, but all the way in the corner. And I was like, let me look for better seats. So I was like, well, 7 o'clock has better seats available. Let me switch it. So we did that. But it's so funny. My brother was like, we should do the 4 o'clock. And, I was pleasing my mom. I'm like, I think that the 7 o'clock gives us better seats. She was like, we're going to be in the middle? Like, we're going to be middle-y. That's what I said. Middle-y. So the middle, but to the side. The one right next to the middle. It's not in the corner. That's funny. So that's cool. Oh my God. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, God is great and he works in so much what's the word? Synchronicity? What's the word that you were even having issues with?
Yeah, I was struggling with that word too. Synchronicity.
Synchronicity. How he works like that. It's awesome. just the energies with us are so connected in so many ways. And I think that's just like, another example of how much, God is here and working with us. So we're
100%.
super excited that you guys are tuned in, that you're here, episode 3, because, today is a very important episode that I felt in my heart to showcase for you guys. Because last week, I feel like we kind of prepared you to start that connection with yourself, with God. We did the mirror work, we looked into our eyes, we looked into our souls, and maybe so for some of you, it was the first time that you felt that energy. Maybe it was that first time that you felt that divine presence, that God within you, right? And maybe for some of you, you've felt it before, and maybe you thought you lost it. Like, I don't have that spark. I don't feel connected with myself. I feel like I can't trust myself. I haven't made the best decisions. I've went the wrong path, so no matter which one of the spectrum that you land on, I'm glad that you're here now. And I'm glad that you're tuned in, because today's episode is called Sacred Relationship, right? And this relationship is the relationship with yourself and with God, and how to form it and maintain it. So if last week you felt like the spark and you felt that energy and you're like, I don't want to lose it, or you felt like maybe you were about to lose it, this episode is going to give you some perspective and practices that you can do to sustain that relationship and to develop this beautiful relationship. And kind of like what comes to me when I think about this sacred relationship and how to grow it and how to harness it and sustain it, right? There's 2 words that come to me for any relationship: communication and trust. So we're going to talk a little deeper about those in a second, but I kind of want to, set the stage for this, about the types of relationships that are outside of us, right? And these relationships can be familial, or the relationships we have with our family, right? The relationships that we have that are platonic, that are friendships that we cultivate throughout our lives. And then the third one is intimate relationships, right? Those relationships, we're dating somebody, we're married, we're in a relationship, and how do we cultivate and sustain and develop these relationships, right? Is through communication and trust. Antoine was telling me a story on when he meets somebody and he's interested in them, how he asks a lot of questions. And, he's like, I asked a lot of questions. And I said, why you ask those questions? And he's like, because I want to get to know them. I want to know everything about them. It's kind of like you want to see how you fit into that person's life, how that person fits in yours. Is this somebody that you can trust? Is this somebody that you want to continue getting to know? Or is this somebody that's like, you're kind of toxic and, you're not helping me on my path. You're not adding value. So met you for a day or 2, but I'm done. Or when you really into someone and you're like, I like what I've seen, I feel a connection and I want to grow this more, what do? You continue communicating. You continue asking questions. You continue seeing how this person likes to be communicated with. How do I like to be communicated with? Because honestly, we don't all like to communicate. We don't all communicate in the same way, right? Some people are vocal, they're outspoken. You're going to know what they have to say because they're going to speak it right away. Other people might give you the silent treatment, or they might hide and they don't talk, but that's a cue, right? Like, okay, I think my boo's mad at me, or I think something's wrong with them. Let me go see how they're doing. Let me ask them questions. Let me check in, right? Are we okay? Are you good? You feeling good? We like when people do that. So it's the same concept when we are in this relationship with God and relationship with ourselves, is to check in, to ask questions, to learn the communication tools, the communication ways that works, because it might be different from person to person. So there's ways for me in my life that I have taken to build this relationship with myself and with God. And I think that for me to kickstart this communication, it starts with my morning meditation. And it's big for me. And I know some people out there are like, meditation, I can silence my mind, not even for a second. How can I do it for 5 minutes, right? And it only takes a couple of minutes. And my purpose for this, because you can use meditation for several things. You can use meditation to just quiet your mind and just be still and just think nothing. And it just is calming, it's soothing, it brings you peace, it centers you, right? Or you can use meditation as a way to kickstart the communication with God for the day. And what I mean
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's awesome because for me, I feel it's just like when you're dating somebody or in a relate, whether it's platonic or not, you like when people tell you, "Good morning, how are you?"
Yep.
Right? You feel seen. It's like, oh, they messaged me. They must really like me, right? Or, oh my God, my mom messaged me this morning. She loves me, right? So don't you think that God feels the same way when we're like meditating and we're like, hey, God, hey, Jesus, I'm here,
Yep. Good morning.
right? Good
Yeah.
morning. And, you do that. And even if you wake up and your day, you're feeling chaotic, even in your day, you're feeling like, oh, I have so much to do today, right? When you acknowledge Jesus and you ask him to come into your heart, to open your mind, to open your heart, to fill you up with his peace, to fill you up with his love, to fill you up with his power, with his grace, you like start feeling that centeredness almost automatically. You start feeling an ease in your mind, in your heart. You kind of feel like your shoulders drop, your jaws drop. He's just like there, and he's always there. But when we ask, like, say hello, how are you? Like, I'm here and I'm asking you to come into me today. I need you today. I cannot do this on my own. He does oblige, he answers, and he is honored to do it. It's like he does the most and he does extra for us because, like, I want to say he's there and he's always going to be there and he's always acknowledging us and doing for us. But there's just a sauce, a secret sauce that happens. It's like a touch, it's like an extraness that he gives when he's like, they acknowledge me today. And for me, anchoring my day in God and Jesus in the morning starts off my day to kickstart that communication.
Yeah. And what I hear in mostly what you're saying is there's something to be said for consistency. And that's not just inconsistency in our relationship with God, that's consistency with everything. Like the things that you do consistently on a regular basis are the things that yield the results. I love that starting your day with God, starting your day with, good morning, God. How's things going? How are you? I'm feeling great. Like you can't help but smile because you start to feel his energy and feel his grace.
You do, like almost immediately you do.
Yeah.
And asking him to fill you up with his love. Like one thing that I always say is, God, open up my heart and my mind to you and fill me up with your love, with your peace, with your power, with your grace, with your understanding. And I just feel it like he is. And it connects me throughout my day with people, with situations, like things just work in my favor. Like in my mind is like everything is happening for me, not to me.
I love that.
And that is how I automatically go into my everyday when I meditate. And now don't get me wrong, there's days where I wake up and I jump out of bed and I don't meditate. But guess what? For those days, you're going to get a little crankiness in me. You're going to get a little less patient in me, It's like, I want to, it's like I want to fight. And it's like, oh my God, like I need to like relax. So I know that when I start my day with God and I have a mindset of everything is happening for me and not to me, and everything is working for my good, no matter what it is, because I know that God would not have anything of harm happen to me. Yeah. So I just go through my day with this faith and with this love and with this power and this confidence. And it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling and relationship to cultivate and have. And for me, it starts with my meditation. And I definitely recommend for you guys to just try it. Don't knock it until you try it.
100%.
And have you, done that in your experience where you meditate and ask God to come into you?
Absolutely.
And how has that been?
Absolutely. And I've not always been consistent with it, but similar to what you said, the days that I do, I have so much clarity, centeredness, alignment. Like the day just tends to go almost without any disruption. It just moves along so perfectly. And I've learned that the mornings that I dedicate that time and do it consistently, it starts to compound. So that feeling and those great energy you receive starts to grow each and every day. It's like almost as though God is giving you a little bit more of him every day. You're starting to master that relationship. You're starting to grow closer. I think that's what it really is. You're growing closer. Like if when we first start talking, if we're in a relationship, like let's say you and I are in a relationship and we first start talking, we don't really know each other. But the more we talk after 6 months, 7 months, you start to know me pretty daggone well, right? And you feel closer to me. And that's when you start to get to places where you're like, I miss you, because you realize the space that that person has held in your life for so long and what it has meant. And I feel the same way. Like that's the same way it should be with God, where if there is a moment where we are not having that sacred time in the morning with him, that we miss him. We're like, God, I miss you. I really miss you. We haven't talked in a while. Like it's that time. We need to have that conversation. So
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I wanted to make one point. This came up in our book club when we were talking, because for me, when we first started talking about sacred relationships, I love the title sacred relationship. And I had to, for a moment, I was like, well, what do you mean by sacred relationship? What do we mean by that? And there was something. So for those that don't know, Ariana and I are in a book club together. And the book that we're reading is Rich and Righteous by Julian Gordon. And what we've been finding is that a lot of the stuff that we have already started planning through the podcast tends to come up in the book. We'll be reading it and it's like right there. I'm like, wow, that aligns with exactly everything we're planning on talking about in the podcast. And this week, one of the things that came up was this sacred relationship. And there was a scripture that he pulled up that's from Jeremiah 1:5. And it says, before I found you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. And so I looked up the word consecrated, and what consecrated means is having been made or declared sacred. So from the beginning, God's saying, before you even were born, I had already declared you sacred. And what sacred means is connected with God or dedicated to a religious purpose. So before you were even born, God already had your entire life planned out and the purpose of what you were put on this earth to do. And he consecrated that relationship with you. And now all he's doing is he's waiting for you to build that relationship with him so he can share his secrets with you. He can share what he's put out for you. And so if you're at a place in your life where you feel like, hey, I'm going through life and I'm not finding what I'm meant to do, or I don't feel like I'm aligned with my purpose, that should be a good sign that, hey, God, I miss you. Good morning, God.
I need to tune in.
I need to tune in. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's like someone has a treasure map. You're searching for a treasure. Someone has a treasure map and you're afraid to say hello, or afraid to talk to them, or afraid to even build a relationship with them. If I told you that building a relationship with that person would mean you would find the treasure you're looking for, I bet you'd build that relationship. So why are so many of us afraid to build that relationship with God?
Yeah, I think we don't understand it. And we weren't kind of, spoken to about how to build this relationship. For some people, it could be, oh, that's too religious for me. And like we said in episode 1, that God is just is love. So when you just focus on love, love will show you the way. Love is the way. And it will tell you everything that you need to know and everything that you need to do. So when you look at God as a context of love and not religion, and this man up there that is just dictating my life, or what I can and cannot do, and should or should not do, and what's bad and what's good, and you just focus on love, everything flows. You just know what you need to do, because if you're doing it from a place of love, it is going to always be right. Absolutely. Because there's just no space, there's no room of hate and all these other things when you have love. There's just not. Like, you have love, you forgive. When you have love, you're more willing to understand and to be understood and to follow your path and adding value and being of service, because all those things stem from a place of love. So I definitely love that and agree with that. And it kind of, goes to with like when you're communicating with God, you're probably like, okay, so cool. So I meditate. All right, so I'm going to meditate and I'm going to acknowledge God and I'm going to kickstart the communication. Then what? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about omens and I want to talk about intuition. So for some people, we all understand intuition because that is the thing that is inside of you that you're like, this is what I feel. And this is what I think I should be doing, or the way that I should be going, or what I should say. And a lot of the times we don't follow it, or we follow it with a fear because we don't know if that's real or not, or should I really follow it or not. But one thing that when you start your day and you open up that communication and you get familiar with that voice, that intuitive voice, you will know exactly when it's God and when he's telling you what to do and when it's like yourself and your ego, because that's two separate things, when it's God and when it's your ego, because you can feel something in your intuition, but if you're coming from a place of negativity and hate, then yeah, our intuition is going to be like, ooh, screw that, and we're just going to be talking negative into the air and doing things that we're not going to be proud of afterwards, because we thought that that's the thing we should be doing, but it's really our ego, So yeah, so when we come from a place of, God and love, and we're starting our day and we kickstarting that communication, and we have something in our intuition, it's going to feel different. It's going to feel peaceful. It's going to feel like this is the right thing that I need to be doing. And you will do that, and it would be like a flow where things just start happening one after the other. It's like a domino effect. If you drop that domino perfectly, everything else will like will perfectly land, where it needs to land. There'll be no mistakes. And that's how things flow when you are in alignment and when you're following your intuition, because, God isn't a God that's going to speak to you like, hey, Adi, you hear me? This is what I need you to do. Open up your ears because I'm talking to you. Nothing happened that way. God is very subtle. God is speaks in whispers, right? To me, the enemy and that ego speaks in demands and loud and what he should be doing, and it just comes with all these cringing feelings. And when God speaks, you just feel at peace, and your shoulders drop, and you just know, and you have this understanding and this inner knowing. So just understand that you're not going to hear God's voice sometimes clear as day, but as you get to know him better, you're going to know the ways that he's talking to you, because it's going to be distinctive to you. For me, I find that God speaks to me, yes, to my intuition, and I know when it's him because I've been through a lot with him. So I know when it's him and when it's me at this point. Okay? I know when it's my ego, because when I follow that feeling that I follow, when I follow my ego, it leads me to destruction. And trust me, I've been through a lot of distractions, and we're gonna get there in another episode, okay? You're gonna really get to know me and my story. So because
you're not spilling the tea today, huh? You're not spilling
not
the tea
today. That's for another episode. So when I follow my ego, I know what it feels like. I know what I do. I know the feelings that I get, and I know not the regret, because I can't say that I regret anything that I've done, but I do wish that I would have known better. I wish I would have been more patient. I wish I would have had more love in my heart, because if I did, I would have not done some of the things that I've done that I'm not proud of, know? So now I can say, maybe I'm not 100% perfect with it, but I can totally say, oh yeah, that voice there that I'm feeling is coming from a place of love. That is God, and I'm going to follow that. Or that is my ego. I need to take a step back, and I need to take a minute and reassess what I'm going to do here, because I am not going to let my ego dictate and put me into situations,
Yeah, I think a good barometer or measure of understanding whether it's God's voice or it's ego is, if it's from God, it's of God. Therefore, if it's of love, if it's of peace, if it's of tranquility, those are the emotions you're feeling. There's a strong chance that that's God speaking to you through your intuition. The moment you feel jealousy, you feel ego, you feel anger, you feel frustration, things that are not of God, then there's a very strong chance that is not of God. I love that what you were saying also, Ariana, about if it's demanding, then that's not of God. Because when I look back on my own examples, it's been the same. Like we talked about this a while back. For me, with real estate investing, that was where I was for a while. I was running deals, running numbers, and it just felt like I was on a mission to hit a certain number. It's not that real estate is not for me. It totally is. Just at this point in my life, how I was approaching it, I didn't feel the same love and peace that I'm feeling as we're talking through this podcast. I didn't feel the alignment at that time. And as we've talked about before, it didn't mean that that's not for me. It just meant that at this time, it's not where God wants me to spend my energy. And so I think that's another critical part, is that sometimes what God is saying is not for you in this moment does not mean that it's not for you forever. It just means in this moment, God saying, let's kick that can down the road a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that's very important part about that connection and hearing the voice.
Right.
It goes through intuition. And so definitely everything that Antoine said to the T, you want to follow the voice that feels at peace, that feels at love, that feels the most natural to you, that feels of a flow for you, and that's going to be of good, because God is only good. You know, he's not going to have us do anything that's going to be harmful to other people. No, he won't. He's not going to lead you there. So if that's where you feel like you're being led to, that's your ego. No, it's something else inside of you. So just check in with it and pray about it, and then make decisions afterwards. But don't make decisions ever in a heated feeling or moment, because that's all your ego, and you're just gonna find yourself with a lot of regret. You're gonna find yourself like kicking yourself, like, because once you say something and once you do something, you can't take it back. It's done. And sometimes you can lose, an important relationship. You can lose someone that you really loved and someone that was probably meant to be in your life for a very long time, but because you didn't check in with yourself and you made these decisions, thinking, well, my intuition, I got a feeling this is what I should do, and you do it, and it's like, damn. But the good thing about God is that he turns every bad story into a wonderful, impactful story. So there's really no mistakes, regardless of what. I'm just teaching here the difference between the intuition when it comes to following that love feeling and versus the ego feeling. But I don't want to put out there that anything that you've done has been a mistake, because again, I don't regret anything that I've done, but I've understood now the voice, and that's all I'm making clear here. The next thing for me, that God talks to me through, other than my intuition, is through omens, and an omen is something that you see. Maybe it could be a butterfly, it could be a feather, it could be a bird, it could be a dime, right? Sometimes it could just be, it could be a numbers that happen in a sequence. Those are God's ways of speaking to you to tell you you're on the right track, to communicate something through you. And you will know what he's trying to communicate, because when you see the thing, what pops into your mind, it's like, is that what God's telling me? And then when he knows that you saw that thing and something is going on in your mind, that thing is going to keep popping up in different places. And because that's God was telling you, yep, you're on the right track. Keep thinking that, or this is what I'm trying to tell you. And I want to give an example of this that happened to me when I first moved to Florida. So I moved to Florida now, like it's been 10 years. And when I first moved here, I came here coming from a DUI. A few months before I moved to Florida, I got a DUI. I was drinking and driving. And I am very grateful that happened. When I got the DUI, I was super drunk, and I was talking to the officer that locked me up. It was a female officer, and she was really tough, and she looked mean as hell. Like, she played no games. Like, she took her job serious. And I remember telling her, thank you for stopping me. Thank you for noticing that I was speed driving, because I could have killed somebody. And I remember in my drunk self, I was grateful that she stopped me when she did, because who knows if I would have made it home. And I had my brother in the back seat, and he was sleeping, passed out. What could have happened, even if nothing happened to me, because I was wearing my seatbelt, but he was knocked out in the back, no seatbelt. And I remember, like, even though I was in that state, I remember feeling grateful that she stopped me and that they towed my car. My brother took a cab home, because we were safe and no one got hurt. So when I moved to Florida a few months later, I had to go through a DUI program. So I was like in a group therapy. I was going through these courses. And I was like, I don't got a problem. All these, I all got a problem. I'm only here because, you know what, made a mistake. I was drinking and driving. It's not that serious. right? And I remember throughout the 3 months that I was doing the courses to oblige the courts that, I'm getting the help that I need, I was seeing these crows. And I was like, okay, I would see like them in pairs, like two at first. And I was feeling like, leaving these programs and leaving each sessions, like getting a little closer, like there's something wrong. Like something could have really bad happened that day, but I didn't know what it was because I was still drinking. I moved here, I was still drinking. And mind you, I moved to Florida to change my life, right? But God makes no mistakes. Anyway, so I was still drinking and I was seeing these crows and they were like 2 or 3 at a time. And I was just ignoring them, but I know what I was thinking in my head as I was seeing them. And I guess God knew, ooh, she's paying attention. So he started putting more and more crows around my path. So I will go to to Publix, which is a supermarket, and I will just see them in the parking lot out of nowhere. Or I will be driving and literally a whole bunch of crows will just fly through my car. Or I will see a flock of crows just just flying. And I'll be like, at first I didn't get it. And it wasn't until the last day that I was going through the course of like the DUI things, there was a guy that came to speak. They showed a video of somebody that was drinking and driving and killed a family. And I was like, that could have been me. And I remember feeling in that moment like, Ari, if you keep drinking, you might end up killing somebody or yourself. And that's what you want. And I remember like, no, God, but I don't know how to do it. And I remember like I was sitting there watching the video and I was like, I don't know how to do this by myself. Like I can't do it. I can't do this. Like I really want to, I just don't know how. And the video finished. There was a guy that spoke and he also gave a good testament of the story of like the things he had been through while drinking, and he's been 20 years sober, and how he's so excited and so happy with his life and the thing and how he's impacting people through his journey, and how people have kind of awakened to themselves by his story because how he stopped, and it's been 20 years, and how he was into it when he was. So anyway, that was the last day of all the courses. And I'm there like, I know I have a problem because that also hit me through going through like the group therapies. I admitted that I'm an alcoholic and I have a problem. And I remember that last day I walked out of the center and I'm walking to my car and I see one crow and I'm like I see one walking around and I get closer and I get closer and I see two and I see three. And I see a whole bunch of crows underneath my car, surrounding my car, on top of my hood, on top of the mirrors. Like they were everywhere. It must have been at least 50 or 60 crows. And in that moment, I felt God telling me, from this moment on, you're not drinking anymore. And I have your back. And I just felt like all the crows that were there were like my ancestors. Like I felt like they were like these energies that were behind me. Like, we're here with you. You're not alone. And this is going to work for you. And we're going to do it. And at the time I was dating somebody, her name is Alicia, and I love her to death because she really supported my journey. And I remember she would be like, we're going out and I'm drinking and my friends are drinking and you're going to learn to not drink and be yourself. Because I used to be very shy, very quiet. I thought that if I didn't have the liquor in me, that I couldn't, be cool or have fun or dance. And she trained me to train myself to have a drink. It would be grape juice and she'll be like, sip on it and act like it's wine. So everybody was having wine and I was having grape juice. And I started, like, after a while, I really started feeling like the grape juice was wine. So guess what started happening? I started acting like I was tipsy and I started being funny and I started coming out of my shell and I started dancing and I started being very talkative. And that came out of me, because when God says, I have your back, he's going to place the people, places and things in your life to help you through that journey. And Alicia was it for me when I stopped drinking, because she was like, you're going to get used to this. You're not just going to be that person that stops drinking and stays home. You're going to be that person that learns how to have a good time because you're fun and you're amazing without it. You just have trained yourself since you were 13 years old to believe that you need it, that you need this to be validated, that you need this so other people can want to hang around you. And that vanished from me. And that was the best decision that I've made. And it would have not happened had I not heard felt or seen the omens from God with the crows. So that was like, for me, my testament that God absolutely communicates with you. And when he sees, oh, this is working for her, he's going to keep putting it in your face. Like there's some people that tell me like the number, 44 speaks to me, or 22. And it's like they have a reason, a story behind that. And I know, Antoine, for you mentioned to me about the dove, so I definitely want you to share that, because I think that with this section of the omens, that I want for the listeners to also hear your perspective on how that has happened for you.
Yeah. So my last name is Dove, and my father passed away when I was really young. So I was 3 when my father passed away, and I never really was able to develop a relationship with him. And growing up, I always wanted to have that relationship with him. I always yearned for it. I just wanted him to be around, and he wasn't. And so what would happen was I started to notice at certain times, places where I would be, I would see a mourning dove. And what a mourning dove is, it makes that sound. It's like, "Croo, croo, croo." It kind of sounds almost like a pigeon, but it's not. It's called a mourning dove. And I learned about that actually way back when I was in grade school and elementary school, about mourning doves. And I would see them different places. Even I'd be out places, I'd see them around. Anytime I had to make a big decision, or I was feeling uneasy or feeling discomfort, they would show up randomly. And so I started to associate that mourning dove with my dad. And anytime I felt uneasy in the mourning dove around, I was like, it was a reminder to me that my dad was with me. My dad was there for me. He was walking me through whatever tough decision I had to go through. He was there for me, and it meant a lot. And I still, to this day, I still see mourning doves. They'll still come hang around. I've seen them on balconies. I've seen them all kinds of different places. But yeah, I've had a very similar experience to you with the omens. And what I loved about what you said about the omens is that it's God's way of getting our attention. And so whatever that is for you, whatever meaning, once God, like you said, once God noticed that you had noticed the crows, he's like, perfect. Like it's almost like he's waiting. Like, I can't wait to find out what it is that she likes. Okay, she likes that. Perfect. Now I can insert this message in. It's almost like you're getting clues, or you're getting like some kind of decoded message, and those different things are coming to you. And it's exciting whenever you are open to that and you can see that and you're present. Because I think that's the big thing, is just being present so that you are aware and can see that.
Yeah, no, the crows have definitely still followed me to this day.
You still see them today?
Yeah. And now, like, now what I see, and also what I see is like, it's feathers. I also see it too. And like, sometimes I see like a black feather. Like I went to Costa Rica a few years ago, and I traveled and I stayed in a hotel by myself for a few nights. And I remember walking and like thinking like, I want to get a tattoo, but like, I didn't have one at that time, So I was walking like, oh, I really want a tattoo, but I was like, I don't know. I kept walking, and I seen, like, right when I was having those thoughts, a few minutes later, I see this beautiful, perfect black feather. And the first thing that came to my mind was, this is a crow feather, right? Because remember, crows follow me. And I was like, this came out of a crow. Like, nobody could tell me no. I was like, this came out of a crow feather. And I was like, I was thinking about a tattoo, and I am going to get this tattooed on my back. I picked up that feather. I Googled tattoo places near me, and I went to a tattoo shop, and he was like, we're about to close, but you can come tomorrow. And I just told him, this is the feather. I want you to draw it for me exactly how it is, and I want you to put it on my back. I went back the next day. He had it drawn up. He showed it to me. I'm like, love it. He pasted it on my back and tattooed it. And I have my first tattoo is a black feather that in my mind came from a black crow. And I want to, tell you what a crow symbolizes. Because me and Antoine looked that up. So this is what crows symbolize. Crows are symbolic of transformation, positive change, and intelligence. And it's like every time I see a crow or a black feather, to me, it's God telling me like, things are about to change in your life. You're about to hit a major transformation. Things are going to work in your favor. You're going to have positive change. And that's exactly what happened to me when I stopped drinking, and I didn't drink for about 8 years at that time, because I felt like that was my time, that God did not want me to drink. Like, I was in my right state of mind. I had just moved to Florida. I wanted to get my master's degree. Like, I had dreams, dreams of Mentor's Way. So yeah, it made only sense that my first 3 months of moving here, God said, we're taking this away because this is not adding to what I have for you. I need you to be focused. I need you to listen into me, right? And for all those years, I was just developing myself and doing everything that he asked me to do in every single way and making sacrifices, because when we are in this journey of, following God and what he wants from us is not going to be easy. Like we said last week, there's things that we're going to have to let go of. There's things we're going to have to sacrifice. It's not always going to be easy. But when we know it's God telling us to do it, he's removing them for us for a reason every single time without fail. And for me, like the feathers also means that I'm not alone. So every time I also see a feather is when I'm feeling defeated, when I'm feeling lonely, when I'm feeling like, I like, God, like you have me here and, I don't have anybody. Like I'm in Florida, I'm here by myself. My whole family is in New York. I'm single. Like it's just me and Prince. Prince is my dog, little puppy, love him to death. He's actually 10 years old. And I got him like a few months after moving to Florida. So he's been with me every step of the way. And I think God gave me him on purpose. And I asked for a lap dog, and Prince is like the best lap dog ever. So it's so funny that, I think God was like, you're going to move to Florida. You're going to stop drinking. You're not going to have long lasting relationships. Yeah. And your family isn't really going to visit you because you are going to be here by yourself and you're going to learn me. We're going to learn each other because I have big things to do with you. And that's exactly what I felt. And that's what keeps me sane and keeps me going and keeps me turning that negative thought into a positive thought. Because that's another important key factor, is that things are going to happen and come and we want to give and feed it negative, but just try to turn it into a positive. And that's what I do with these omens. When I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling alone, when I'm feeling defeated, God shows me a crow. He will show me a feather. He will show me sometimes it's a grasshopper, which is also a symbolism of change and transformation and making leap changes in your life. It's beautiful. And I love following him and learning his voice for me and what works with the omens and my intuition. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. And I definitely kind of want to, see in the next few weeks if you kind of feel the difference with your intuitions and if there's anything that pops up to you with your omen of how God is trying to communicate something to you, because you will notice that when you ask, when you put out the intention of seeing an omen and God communicate with me and you're meditating and you are, kicking off that communication, it's magical.
Yeah,
it works.
I was going to make another point, which I think you mentioned this in your story, and I thought it was spot on, was about the relationship that you had with your partner at the time and how they interceded with God to change your perspective of drinking. And it's funny, I keep going back. God's timing is the best timing. That's all I can say. God's timing is the best timing. And in that same chapter that we was reading this week from Julian's book, there was a section where they were talking about where he was saying that God knows when we're ready for a relationship with him. And it's when he understands that we're ready for a relationship with him that he starts to reveal his secrets. So like going back to the consecrated relationship that he creates with us from the beginning, he already knows our purpose. And he has to know when we're at the right spot to start to feed little bits of our purpose to us. Because if he gives us too much at once, it becomes overwhelming. Sometimes we can't understand it. We can't see the whole map for him. He has to give us little bits of pieces at a time. And so to me, the consistency that we're doing every day is showing God that we're dedicated. I'm dedicated to you. I'm dedicated to this process. I'm dedicated. I'm here every day. I'm showing up. Good morning, God. How are you? How's things going? God, please give me the strength I need to the day. And as you're doing that each day, you're showing him I'm dedicated. And then God reveals. And so that's what you did. Like you going through that course was showing God, I'm dedicated to changing this part of my life. And once you finish, then you could receive the message from him, which is you don't need drinking. The definition you've created for drinking in your life and its purpose, one, doesn't serve you, and two, is not going to help you for the mission and vision I have for your life. So he interceded someone who showed you another way. But had that been revealed to you months prior, it would have meant nothing. it would have
Nothing at
absolutely
all.
meant nothing
I wasn't
at all.
there. I mean, I had tried stopping drinking before then, a few years past before that time. And maybe it was like a few months. And then I said, I'm gonna drink some wine. And I was like, it just didn't really work for me because, you know, it wasn't my time. When my time came and the way that it happened, I'm grateful that it did. It helped me build a level of trust immensely with God through that experience, through many
That's
other
beautiful.
experiences. But that one helped me build that trust. So, you know, I want to kind of give an example of having trust with God, because you know what I mean? Like the first thing is communication, right? We want to build that communication. We want to learn how God wants to speak to us and how he communicates with us, and us communicating with him and activating him every day. And that turns into trust, because now I know his voice. Now I've been following it. I'm following my intuition. I'm following my love self, now my ego self, right? And we're getting these omens and we're following and things are working out. And you know, we're even relationships that we used to have that maybe weren't working out, or that maybe we're not in a good place, can start getting repaired, because now we're coming from a place of love and understanding and forgiveness, right? And now we start feeling like, God, you're amazing. I love you. I want to give you more. I trust you. And that is what happens when we're doing that. And it doesn't happen overnight, you know, but it happens over time. And it's a beautiful evolution of building that relationship with God and how he does it, because God is so gentle. You know, God is not demanding. He's very gentle, and he gives us our space and our time to get there, because he knows that we will get there. He knows that we will, and we all will, you know what I mean, at our time. And once we're ready, like he will. So I read in the Julian Gordon book, Thinking and the Rich and Righteous, he spoke about in the last week chapter that we're reading, he spoke about the Chinese bamboo tree. And I love this story and this analogy that he gave, because it kind of sinks in exactly to what we're talking about, trust and waiting. He talks about how when you plant a seed of the Chinese bamboo tree, that it, you know, you're watering it and you're fertilizing it every day. And it takes 5 years for that seed to break ground, for you to start seeing the fruits of your labor. 5 years of daily watering and fertilizing this seed in this good soil, right? And after 5 years, then of you consistently watering and fertilizing, it breaks through the ground. But it takes only 5 weeks for that tree to grow up to 90 feet tall. So what that tells me and what that speaks to me is that the things that we plant, the things that we want, even that, you know, building our communication with God, like sometimes it's going to take time for that thing that we want, that we planted, for us to see anything come from it. But once we stay dedicated to it, we're nurturing it, we're doing the things that God is telling us to do, we're practicing, we're meditating daily, we're doing all the things every day consistently, because consistency is the biggest thing here. Once we're doing that, we reap the fruits of our labor. And it takes time and it takes work. And other people looking at us like, you still watering that seed? Girl, if I were you, I'll buy me another seed, because that seed is dead, right? And I'm like, damn, maybe you're right, but I'm just gonna keep doing it, because God said that this seed was the Chinese bamboo tree. This is the seed that is my goals and my dreams, whatever that is for you. And give it time. Might be years, 5, it might be 10, might be 20, might be 30. It's okay. Keep watering it, keep believing, and keep doing the things, because once it breaks the ground, once you start seeing it, guess what happens? It only takes a little bit of time for that thing to grow massively, because God is going to move in lightning speed at that point, because he's like, thank you for waiting. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. Thank you for having that anticipation and not having an anxiousness about it, because that is the biggest thing too that I've learned, is that God wants us to wait in anticipation. He wants us to be like, okay, it's not there, but it's coming. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I'm going to keep doing the things, and I'm going to keep doing what I got to do. And I'm going to keep serving, and I'm going to keep praying, and I'm going to keep meditating. I'm going to keep looking for the signs, right? You keep doing all those things. And before you know it, once you break the ground, once you start seeing the fruits of your labor, it's in no time that you start seeing the massive success or the massive things coming to fruition, because that's how God works, and that is how he operates in our lives when we are coming from a place of being fearless.
Yeah. I think you nailed that.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely grateful for, one, that book talking about that in that way, because I've always known that I have to wait.
Yeah.
I have to continue doing the things that God is calling me to do. However, I never knew about the Chinese bamboo tree. Have you?
No, I didn't know about it until we read that in the book. And to me,
Yeah.
this so speaks to my life and what I've been going through as of late. Because once I had got let go from my job, every being and thing in my body and what the world would want me to do is to immediately rush and get another job. Like, this job ended, rush and get another one. But the peace I had when I was let go, God was saying, trust me. I've got other things prepared for you. I have other things that we're going to be working on. I made that move. It was a flex move, God. You flexed on them. I made that move for a reason. And although you can't see the big picture right now, although you can't see the map, you have to trust that what I'm doing right now is for a bigger purpose. And within that short period of time is where things started to align. I started working out more and really focusing on my health. Since that time, I've lost 30 pounds. I found a business, and the business that I found, I ended up going under contract for this business that I'm going to be purchasing at the end of the year. You came to me and was like, hey, Antoine, I want to start this podcast. What do you think? We should start this podcast together. And we've started the podcast. There's been amazing things that have happened step after step after step. And what God's saying to me is, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. All you need to do is continue to trust me and be consistent, continue with that relationship. So this speaks to me immensely.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me in my life, it started when I dropped out of high school, and I knew that my purpose was Mentor's Way, that my purpose was to write self-help books and to be a walking inspiration and to speak life to people. And I knew that that was it. But guess what? All these years, I was like, God, really? Like, where's Mentor's Way? When am I starting Mentor's Way? And I just felt God always tell me, you are the Mentor's Way. You are the walking Mentor's Way. There's no, I'm going to start Mentor's Way. You've been start Mentor's Way when you knew that that's what you needed to do. And everything that you've done is part of your story. It's part of showing people what is possible with God, because I've been through my ups and downs. And I feel like just this year, after like the last 3 years ago, I was like, God, I give up. I'm over Mentor's Way. It ain't happening. Like, I don't know why I'm here. Why am I alive? I had all these thoughts. I was about to give up. Like, for real, for real, for real. Like, no lies. Like, I never thought I would say those words, like, God, I'm done. Like, this isn't happening. I felt defeated. I just was feeling sad. I was in a very low place in my life, very depressed. And I told God I don't want it anymore. And that led me to a lot of negative and bad things. We'll talk about that in, future, maybe in my book that I'm gonna write. But what I'm saying is that I was in the brink of failing, of stopping, of giving up. And this year, I have made a commitment to do some work, to do some major work. I made a commitment to get into the frequency, the energy, the vibration that I needed to be at, to be aligned with everything that God has for me, because God is there and he's been waiting. But there's certain things that God was like, we need you to work on this, and we need you to work on that. And I made a commitment to invest in myself and to spend the money that God has given me back into me, right? And I just have it sitting in my savings, So I got me a holistic therapist that has helped me heal some traumas, right? I invested in a real estate mentorship, which is where I met you, Antoine, right? And I've invested in a coach to help me with my business funding. And I've invested recently into a personal trainer, right? That trains me one-on-one. And he's a holistic personal trainer. So he's not just there telling me pick up these weights. He's also helping me with breath work, right? And make sure that I'm eating certain things and that my mindset is in a good place. And I'm just like, since this year, in the last few months that I've been investing in myself, look at everything that's happened for me. I have 3 businesses, okay? Like I have launched 3 businesses and we're here doing this podcast, which I think is part of my calling. I know it's part of my calling. And even though it took all those years from the age of 18 to 37, almost 20 years of preparation, I think I know now is my time that things are aligning and everything is flowing. And I have just this immense passion to do everything. And I feel like I'm running. I feel everybody's like, Ariana, you're doing so much. You're running, you're running, you're running. You're working on this business. You're working on that business and this business. And I'm still in my 9 to 5 until next month. And guess what? Everything is happening. Everything is working in its right time. Everything is divine. And I feel great and I feel blessed and I feel grateful. But that comes with having trust and waiting for your time, waiting for you to break the ground. And it doesn't matter how long. It doesn't matter how long it's been. Keep the faith, keep doing the work. And if God is telling you there's a little more that you should be doing, give it a little more, because you don't know if giving it a little more is what's going to take you to the next leap, that's going to take you to the next level of where you need to be to get your frequency and your vibration in alignment to the things that God really wants for you. And trust me, God will tell you that. So, that kind of comes with sacrifice, right? Like you see, Antoine, I see sacrifice in your story with your job that, you got laid off and you could have done what everybody else does and get another job. It's easy. Yep. But you made a sacrifice to say, God, I've been reading this book, Rich and Righteous, and it talks about doing what you are meant to do. And I'm going to wait on you to tell me what I'm meant to do. And you started seeking, right? You didn't just ask and just stayed in your bed, right? You asked, but you started seeking. You were looking into buying businesses. You were working on your health, which is going to get you more mental clarity so that you can get more connected with God, right? And God presented this opportunity to work on a podcast together. And all these things happen. And that's a sacrifice in itself, because that's not easy to, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's a sacrifice because I'm sure maybe your mom or maybe other people in your life are probably maybe worried or have some kind of, you sure you know what you're doing? Or maybe in your subconscious mind, are you sure, buddy? We're doing this right now. We're not going to get a job, like our funds are running out soon. What's up? What's up? Yeah. But no, so that is a sacrifice, and it shows God a commitment to your path, that you are committed to him, that you are committed to figuring out what he wants you to do next, and that you're not going to make no sudden movements in getting away from that. You're not going to do that to yourself. You're not going to get off the path. You're not going to do anything that's in contradiction of what God wants from you. You're going to stay the course. You're going to have faith. You're going to sacrifice, and God is going to reward that. And he is already rewarding it. I've seen the changes in you, like I said last week, with, you asking for help, and you were not big on that. And you know what I mean? So I'm fond and I'm inspired by your progression in a short period of time, building this relationship with you. So I'm very grateful for you to, you sharing that story about you, because it just shows exactly what we're saying kind of like in real life with the Chinese bamboo tree and how all of that works, and sacrifice and commitment.
100%.
Because all of that plays into that sacred relationship.
Yep. And God will show you. He will show you. Once you trust, he will show you that he is there with you. Just like your crow story with all the crows. I've been seeing it in so many ways with the whole money thing that you were just talking about. I had an investment account that I had with TD Ameritrade. TD Ameritrade was bought by Schwab. So I had to switch my TD Ameritrade investment account over to Schwab. When I did, I went to my Schwab, and I had an old Schwab account that I thought I had cleared out. I found like $1,500 in my old Schwab account. Just funds just sitting there that I didn't even know about. Just like that. Then today, I get a message from, as I'm paying down one of my credit card utilization, I get a message today from one of my credit card companies that they've increased my credit limit on one of my cards by like $1,500. Now, am I planning on using that money? No. But what it is it's those omens. That's God saying to me, like, there is money around here. There's abundance. You don't have to worry. You don't trust. Lean into me. As you trust and lean into me, I will make things available to you. I am all powerful. I'm all knowing. God is resourceful. He has everything we need. And I think once you start to realize that and you lean more into trust, that walk becomes easier. At first, it's scary as hell. I ain't gonna lie. Like when everything happened with my job, there was a lot of fear initially that came, But because we had been reading that book, because I had been tilling my soil, the soil of my mind, as I was preparing my ground to be received to what was going to come to me, as I took that time, I realized that God said, hey, look, you've been doing all this work. Now you're ready. I can take you out this environment and I know you will survive. I know you're not going to worry. I know you're not going to doubt. I know you're just going to lean into me even more. And that's all he wanted. He's like, I'm going to remove this because I need you to lean into me even more. I'm glad we got this ball rolling. That was cute, but I need you to lean into me even more. And that's exactly what I did. And this podcast has done nothing but continue to drive and push that.
Yeah. So this podcast is definitely grateful that job, Lady Walk, and I'm just gonna keep saying that I am very grateful for this man, Antoine Dove, because he is a business genius and he has helped bring this idea that I've had to life, the idea that God put in my heart and in my soul of what this podcast, is going to be. I have poured all of that information out, and Antoine has taken all that information and has been helping with building this idea and bringing it to life. So I am definitely grateful. And everything that you have to give could have not been in a better place than here. You know what I mean? Because you could have went somewhere else and given your talents, but I am grateful that God chose you to showcase your talents, and to show you yourself what you were meant to be doing.
Amen.
Because you were doing it for yourself as a partner in this business with this podcast. So it's beautiful how God works. And we looked up the word trust, I know, because we looked up the word communication. So I just want to kind of give a brief, what came up. You did like a chat GPT, Antoine. So this is what came up, and I just want to share it. I don't know if I marked that up, but it says, trust is the cornerstone of a strong and enduring relationship. Both parties need to feel secure and confident in each other's commitment, reliability, and integrity. Building trust takes time and consistency. So that pretty much wraps up everything that we spoke about in this section.
Spot on.
You know what I mean? Both parties need to feel secure. So God does his part to make us feel secure, and we have to do our part to make God feel like, God, we're in this. We're committed to this, and keep feeding it to us.
Come on now. Come on now.
And that goes with any other relationship. But, we're here talking about sacred relationship. You know what I mean? The most important relationship that we will ever foster is the relationship with God and ourselves. This relationship with yourself and God will never fail you, lie to you, cheat on you, disown you, part ways with you. Never. And I'm so grateful that I have this love in my life. Even though we tend to leave it, right? That's something we do. We tend to be like, all right, God, I'm over it. I've had enough. But he's just there. So I say that to say that this is the most important relationship that we will ever foster. And I just hope that everyone takes the time to, do the practices, to meditate, to, listen to your intuition, to listen to the omens, because it's a beautiful relationship when you're walking with God and you're listening to him and his voice for you, because it's going to be distinctive for everyone. So don't try to follow nobody else and how God talks to them. Don't start looking for crows, because it may not be a crow. Don't go looking for doves for morning doves. And that might not be for you, right? It may be butterflies. It may be a ladybug, it may be numbers. But just look for it and just see what's going on in your mind and in your heart when you're seeing these things. And more of it will pop up if you're on the right track of what God is trying to tell you. This won't happen overnight, but you can do it. Anybody can do it. I guarantee you that. We're very, very happy that you tuned in with us. This kind of went longer than usual, but we're grateful that, you took the time to be here with us. We're definitely grateful. As usual, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything that you would like to share with us, we love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in. And until our next episode, always remember, having faith in God, yourself, and others will create the evolution that you are seeking.
That's right,
Peace
baby.
out.
Let's go. Peace out, guys.
And leaders of the future, if you with me, let me hear you say.